Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the R&D Podcast. I am your host, Rachel.
And I'm Delia.
In this episode, we're going to be talking about discovering your peace or tapping into your peace and how to do that in whether you're married or single. Let's get into it.
How do you tap into your peace? I mean, there's so many ways, right? Like, I definitely think that when there's something that's rocking your boat, as they say, I think that if you can get to a place where, you can go pray, you can go for a walk, you can meditate, maybe you go to the beach, you can maybe go have a coffee with a girlfriend to just kind of, let her hear you out. I've heard things like hugging a tree, and believe it or not, as silly as it sounds, it feels without shoes on, by the way. You have to stay grounded, be grounded. And the hugging of the tree, I gotta tell you, feels so good. Like, I have to tell you that it's like this energy of just like letting go of whatever that is,
It's like, think about how much energy it took for that thing to sprout up the way it did,
Yes.
And it's still emitting energy, and we get our oxygen from it.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I think that, with peace, if you're married, I've talked about this in, I have a show called Rachel Delia Podcast, and season 1, I really got into this because I had to find a way to choose my peace, and I literally had to find a way to say, hey, you got to join me in my joy. I'm not going to join you in your misery. And so if you have issues that are not my cause, I cannot take that emotional ride with you on that roller coaster. And so it takes time and patience to be able to pull that off. But once you can get into a place where you say, no, people are going to have to meet me in my peace zone or in my joy. I'm not going to go roll in the mud with them and mess around in the drama of it all.
I agree.
It's like I said, it takes time and energy and focus, but once you're there, it's so amazing, because then when you see people getting mad, maybe your husband's moody, grumpy, jealous, whatever it may be, you become so unfazed by it because you're like, oh, he's having a moment.
Yeah.
Oh, he'll be fine.
He'll be fine.
He'll get over it. And then you just go and hula hoop with the kids, or go to Target or whatever that is. And like Delia's saying, maybe it's getting grounded, barefoot, going to the beach, listening to the waves, watching the sunset. I'm a nature person too. Like, I need to hear like the birds.
Oh yeah.
Or feel the sun on my skin. Like, I love the waves. Like, there's certain things I got to get on the water. Yeah. One day, Delia and I, we were on the phone with each other randomly. Yeah. And she's like, where are you going? And I said, oh, I'm heading to the beach. And she goes, so am I. And she goes, really? What do you got over there? I go, no, I just need to get on the water. Yeah. And she goes,
so do I.
Yeah. And that's we were separately having to go to the beach for the same reason.
Yeah. I definitely feel like, for me, another place that I found peace in is definitely going to the gym and listening to like a good podcast. I've always loved Dr. Wayne Dyer. He's a wealth of information, in my opinion. Like, he has this calming to him. Or Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. Like, oftentimes we're so worried about things that are gonna happen, should happen, will they happen, are they not gonna happen, or current moments that we're living in. I think that, Eckhart Tolle, for me, has taught me like to enjoy the day or the moment. Because oftentimes, I always say, we have a things to do list and it's very long, and we feel like we either accomplished a lot if we got most of the things done, or we didn't accomplish most of the list. And oftentimes I always think about the day that you meet your maker. And I know it sounds really morbid, but you're so worried about all the trivialities of what he said and she said, and the way he looked at you and she looked at you, and what you said, and you're playing out these negative scenarios instead of being in the power of the moment, of the now, and not worrying about what he said, they said, she said. I mean, I think it's like coming from a place of peace. And if that means that you have to listen to something like that to calm you down, go to the beach, go to the gym. I mean, I can tell you that for a long time I would listen to Dr. Wayne Dyer as I'm at the gym, just kind of like really trying to focus in on my breathing, focus in on my state of gratitude for the day. And I think that oftentimes we just want to be angry at the world for whatever reason. And I think that if you can take your power back, because people take your power and they live in your mind, rent-free, rent-free, because you're allowing them to take that time in your mind, your body, your soul, your spirit. And I think it's important for you to just, say, what's meant to be will be, and what's not meant to be won't be. And not try to project a future that hasn't arrived, but living in the moment that is here. And I think that that's the best way that I can give my scenario on how I've tried to, shift my energy to be like, that does not require my energy.
Right.
And I rebuke it, and I'm not going to give them that energy. And sometimes too, though, by the way, like even with, let's just say that you're at a restaurant and the server comes and she's rude and she's angry, and then coming into your piece to not get angry back at the person, because I always say we don't know what cross people are bearing. I don't know if she just lost a significant other. I don't know if she's going through hard times. So you know what, if she's going to be some type of way, I'm going to try to be as respectful as I possibly can. I don't know the cross they're bearing. And so for me, I just feel like, you know what, I don't have to live with her. I'm just going to see her. She's supposed to serve me. I'm going to let it go, and God bless her. And I know it sounds easier said than done, because I know that I have that try me energy too. Like, if she tries me too hard, then, she's going to meet me. But I definitely do believe that, you have to understand that people are going through things that you have no idea what they're going through.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I have learned over the years that has brought me an immense amount of peace in my career and in my family life is understanding that everything that seems like is falling apart is actually falling together. And things are working out for my greater good. That really comes from my faith. Understanding, and I don't like memorize Bible verses, like I destroy them on this show all the time, but I generalize or whatever, but I can tell you that when I really pay attention, I say, okay, what can I do today to maybe not feel overwhelmed? If I'm feeling overwhelmed, it just means that there are things that I need to do and I didn't manage my time wisely. Right. So I feel like things are getting the best of me, right? So then it's like, take a pause, take a moment to go, what can I get done now? Finishing even like the smallest tasks first, because so many times people tackle the big task that is due or whatever. But if you can do a series of smaller tasks, you're going to feel accomplished.
That's so true.
I'm working on a pretty decent project right now, and one of the things that I was starting to do, because I am pretty busy, I have a lot of things that I work on, was I was sitting there going, oh my God, like I don't know how I'm going to manage all of this. Well, guess what? That is like a block. If God pours blessings out unto you, and you act overwhelmed and out of breath and like frantic, you're proving to him and sending the signals that you are not ready, that you cannot handle these blessings. And so what I try to do is go, okay, thank you, God, for this great opportunity. Thank you, God, for this blessing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do what I could do today. In this moment, what can I accomplish right now? What can I get done? And then I just go, I want to get everything off of my plate that people are sort of waiting on me on, or whatever. When you look at the steps of what needs to happen for this to get the outcome that I desire, well, I need to do these 3 things. After that, it's out of my hands.
It is. Yeah.
So I just focus on what I can control, what I can accomplish, what I can do in this moment.
Yes.
And I don't punish myself if I had to put something off for the next day. It's okay.
Right.
And then I get that done. But once it's done, you guys, I don't sit there freaking out. I have all this content where I guide women on this. I don't sit there freaking out, oh my God, I wonder what's happening. I wonder what they're saying. I wonder what they're thinking. Are they going to like it, not like it? What if it doesn't work? What if it does? Like, I let go of all of it. It's as if I didn't even do the thing. It's just, it's out there. I send it into like outer space, and it's in orbit.
Yeah, it's
and then
true.
I'm on to the next thing in front of me, and going, what can I do now to move the needle forward?
Yes. And I think that that's the best way to look at things, because I think that oftentimes we're so worried about figuring out what the outcome is. I know that people will do crazy things like read their horoscope, like what does tomorrow say? What does this say? What does that say? And it's like letting go of what the outcome is, and knowing that letting go and letting God is like the best outcome, right? And then also, I think that going back to why we're making or why we're doing this podcast is like to get your peace back, is because that's important. If you are projecting an outcome that it should be, and then you don't get the answer that you thought you should get, sometimes like the biggest downfalls are the biggest blessings. And at the time that they're happening, you're like, why is this blocking me? Why is this happening? And then in the end, you'll figure out like, that's why that had to happen in order for this to happen. But as you're working, I always say God's working behind the scenes as you're trying to work in the scenes per se, and I think that, if you could just let go, let God, and just say, you know what, I'm not going to allow that to take over, my mind, and you don't want to live through things 2-3 times, or live in hostility in your mind or in your soul or in your spirit because you feel like you got mad at, a family member, your husband, your wife. And I think that if you can come from a place of like, you know what, I'm going to let it go. Like, and if it's meant to show up, then I'll handle it. But I think it's like just figuring out how you can get your peace back. Walking on the beach, like we said, there's so many ways.
There's so many ways to sort of decompress and unwind.
Get a massage too.
Which is really, really important. But also laugh. I think laughter is so healing, you guys.
Gosh, yes.
Letting some tears out can help too. But like literally laughter, like finding something that makes you laugh. Like put music on, dance, move. Like to feel something that makes you so happy. I'll share a little story. We have Spotify on my TV, and we have this great like speaker system and everything. And then it randomly switched to Tigres del Norte, okay?
Yeah.
And I was like, what? I have not listened to this since I was probably like 10 years old, with my dad or whatever. And so or about whatever age I was, and all of a sudden it was one particular song that I remember going to all the quinceañeras and the weddings and hearing this song. And I got up, I was actually in the kitchen, and I got in the living room and I just danced in my living room.
Right.
And it was kind of a tough day that day, and I chose to dance by myself. Like, I don't know where my son was at, but like I was literally like dancing, and it just felt so good in that moment. And so who cares if you're by yourself, dance, like, put on some makeup, maybe you always kind of keep it simple, put on the red lipstick or paint your nails red, whatever that is, something that kind of energizes you, and when you look at yourself, it makes you happy.
Yeah, I think that oftentimes we forget about ourselves. And that's because, you're running around, you got the kids, you got this, and then, now your husband called you and he's angry about, I don't know, whatever it is. Yeah. And it's like getting into a place that makes you happy. And I think that oftentimes, if we don't feel good, if we don't look good, we don't feel good. And so then we project those things out to the people around us. And I think that if you can take some time for yourself, because I think it's really important, the me times are important. For me, going to the gym is kind of like a non-negotiable, only because I feel like that's my time to just decompress. So whatever it is that it is for you, then you got to find that happy place of like, okay, I need this moment for myself. If that's, taking some time to read a book in silence, if that means that you have to go take a walk, if that means that you are going to just be in your own feelings and your thought processes, I think that you have to take that into consideration and have self-love to say, you know what, I need this moment for myself because I'm giving so much of me to everybody else that I'm not thinking about myself, and people can see that.
One of the things is routine is really key. I used to be sort of very against routine. I don't like the mundane and things like that, and I don't like things that get too repetitive, but I recognize success comes with routine. But I will tell you something that I adopted last year into this year was I began to have coffee with God. And I figured I'm having coffee anyways, and I don't go to church every day, right? And I do pray every like night or in the morning. I say, thank you, God, whatever, simple prayers, right? But to really sit in it, to really be there and be in it. And so I go outside and I sit in the front step of my home, and there's a lot of nature and birds and everything, and I sit there and I take my coffee, and weather permitting, right? But I'll sit out there with my coffee. It takes me a good 20 minutes maybe to sip through my coffee. Because usually, like, grab the coffee, you're in Starbucks line, you're running around drinking it, whatever. No, this is like, I'm already, usually hair done, makeup done, whatever, I'm dressed, and I go outside and I sit, and I have my cup, and sometimes I have nothing to say. But what I usually do is I imagine that, like, Jesus is sitting next to me on that step, and what do I have to say to him today? And sometimes it's just, thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for this home that I live in. Thank you that today we're safe. Thank you for the money in my bank account even. Like, thank you for my partners. And I start to just be in gratitude. But once in a while, I have nothing to say. Like, I imagine that he's there, and I sit there and I go, Jesus, like, I know you know my heart, and it's too heavy. And I sit quietly. And so many things just show up. And then by the time I finish my coffee, sometimes I don't even finish it. I'm like, oh, I got this idea, this idea. And I feel so great, and I'm in a great mood. So even if you're going to already have coffee or tea, why not have it with God?
I like that. I actually know that you've told me that before, and I think that that's awesome. Like, a couple of things that I think are awesome about that is the fact that you're already doing it and you love coffee. Cool. And then the sun's hitting you, so you're getting a little vitamin D. Cool. And then on top of that, you're having, you know, a connection with a spiritual connection with God. And so I think that if you can find peace in that, or if you can find peace in a moment with God or in prayer, like, I think that those are really important, you know, key moments that will allow you to carry on for the rest of the day. And things can go bad, but then you're like, you know what? Yeah. I know things aren't always going to be perfect, but it's okay. We're going to work things out and we're going to keep it moving. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just important to recognize that.
The power of being still. I don't know that we're actually still, you guys.
I agree.
Because we get up and it's like, okay, I got to brush my teeth. I got to take a shower. I got to do my makeup. I got to do, okay, I'm running down because we have routines, right?
Right.
Okay, now I'm heading out. And then, you know, so we're on the move. Mm-hmm. Even going for a walk, I've started to use my walking time as my podcast time, as my audiobook time. So instead of like anything else, because I recognize the power of being still.
Yeah.
And I'm just not good at it. And even if you're saying, well, I sit on the couch a lot, or is the TV on? Because now you're not actually still, you're being distracted.
Right.
You're laying in bed. Why lay in bed? Okay, but you're on TikTok and you're scrolling. Yeah. You're actually not still.
But I think also though, sometimes like if you have really busy days, like I'm not gonna lie to you, for me, if certain days are busy, I do look forward to just laying there and just like
vegging out and scroll.
Scroll. You know what I mean? And sometimes that's okay. Like if that's what you're looking forward to, is just like laying down and scrolling.
Count that as stillness, because
it definitely is not. Most still. Definitely not still. But I think that if those are things that make you happy, and if those are things that are going to give you that sense of peace, and I think that then you do it. But I definitely think that oftentimes, again, you know, we allow things that have happened to continue to play out in our minds, and that's the reason why, for me, I always say, you know, past tense is nonsense, right? So there's going to be people that did you wrong. There's going to be someone that said something that wasn't right. There's going to be someone that offended you. There's going to be so many different times that you're not going to be okay with the way someone treated you, and you can play those moments out over and over and over and over and over again, but it's not going to get you to a peaceful place or to a place of growth. And so I think that if you can come from a place of like, past tense is nonsense. So this person did me dirty. So this person did me wrong. So this person, you know, lied about me, or whatever the case may be. I think that, you know, you let go and let God, and you say, you know what? I'm not going to allow that to be in my mind. I'm going to let it go. I actually
get into gratitude with those things, because that means that God gave you the ability to see. He said, here, I'm going to show you.
Yes.
Because we don't all have that gift. And so when you get shown, whether it's your husband cheating, or, you know, this person that you thought was your best friend is actually, you know, snaky, or whatever it might be,
smack.
You're being shown. It doesn't mean that you have to judge them in the sense of like being mean or causing a fight or whatever, but just say, God, thank you so much for showing me, because I really was thinking, when I win the lottery, I'm buying them a private jet or whatever, you know, because we love our friends or we love our family and stuff like that. But when God shows you who they are, you start to learn who gets to come with you and who doesn't.
Yeah.
And I always talk about, even like my sphere, Delia, like I used to tell her, I imagine rings around me, right? And there's like the inner circles people know, right? And really there's the first core ring, which is like my son and I, let's just say, right? My mom, you know, like my family, my closest immediate family. After that, it's like, let's just say, okay, Delia, like people that I trust to even be like, you're like family, right? And then the next ring is more like the friends, you know, that you're like, oh, I haven't seen you in a while, let's go to dinner, let's go to lunch. Those are like your friends, right? And then there's rings outside of that. And I always say, let people click themselves in and out. You don't even gotta think about it. Like if you pray over it, God's gonna reveal it, and you're gonna go,
they just clicked themselves out.
And she's heard me. Like I put on my phone,
she just clicked herself out.
Yeah, she's like, what's wrong? I'm like, oh,
she just
clicked herself out. She
just
clicked herself out. And I leave it that like it's that simple. There's not even a conversation I'm having with her. It's like, okay, great, whatever you say. Like,
all right, at this point it doesn't matter. Like, all right, you clicked yourself out. Yeah,
there's so much peace to it.
I know, and oftentimes too, you know, we as women, you know, you have like your friend groups, and then now you found out that this person said this or that person said that, and you know what? And I do believe that, you know, unfortunately, we as women can be catty, and we can continue to live in this feeling of like what she said and why she said it, and oh, she's jealous of you. And I truly do hate that statement of people saying, oh, she's jealous of you. It's like, no, it's not necessarily that she's jealous. You know, there might be an insecurity. You know, maybe she feels she's lacking something. Maybe she hasn't been fulfilled in some way. And maybe it may not be jealous. It may just be something that she's not fulfilled in her life. And so I think for me, it's not allowing that to live in your mind and just be like, you know, I'm going to let it go, and then you just keep it moving. Past tense is nonsense. You know, she might have been a little disrespectful. She might have said something that was out of line. We're just going to say past tense is nonsense. Yeah. Keep it moving. And I think that if you can, you know, continue doing the things that make you heal, you know, going to the gym, listening to an audiobook, you know, like, and these are the things that we're saying that I know that they've helped me.
Yes.
And I definitely think that anything that moves the needle in the right direction of growth, then you know that you're in the right path, in the right direction of feeling good, you know?
And be aware, though, that when you do the work for yourself and you put these things in place to get yourself back to center, you will get excited to pour into others. You'll be like, oh my God, you should have seen this. You should read this book. You should do this.
Yes.
Hey, you know what? You should come with me to this Bible study or whatever. Like, and then people are going to be like, oh, no. All right. And you have to understand that they're just because you love them and you care about them and you want to pour into them because you see potential or whatever, it doesn't mean that they are prepared to receive.
That's so true.
And that they've done the work in themselves to receive. So and true. I've had to learn that because I feel like I try my hardest I just naturally see potential in certain people. Like I'm like, oh, that person should be doing it this way. Or that person, if they did these 3 things, they're going to go to the freaking moon and back. Like I'm able to really see certain things in certain people. But I've had to learn to not be offended if I give someone advice and they don't take it. Or if I say, hey, I want to invite you to this thing. You should go. Yeah, I'm good. Like to not be offended. It doesn't mean that they don't appreciate it or whatever. It could just be they're just not ready to receive it.
Right. And that's exactly it. And at the end of the day, it's like, you know, whenever they're ready, they're going to, I'm sure it's like anything. I think that when you speak to anyone and you think they didn't receive it, you still planted a seed. There's still a seed that went in there. And whether it sprouts and grows, then it may take years before they say, you know, that one time you sat with me, you told me this. It may take years before that seed sprouts, but at least you know that you're coming from a place of, you know what, I see this in you. And then it might be something that they sit with for a very long time. And, you know, we can get offended and say, oh, that's crazy because I told her to do that. Or sometimes, you know, also going back to that, sorry, I'm going to go on a really quick tangent, is that you tell people, hey, you know what I think you should do? You should do this. And then all of a sudden, they do what you said, but they don't even, you know, acknowledge that you said it, right?
The copycat. Copy
paste without acknowledging it. And it depends. If you're egotistical, that, you know, to a degree, you're going to say, I want her to recognize that I told her that. But if you genuinely did it because you genuinely saw that she had this potential, then you're not going to care if she does say, you know, thank you for telling me or thank you for guiding me. A lot of people are just very selfish in that regard, by the way. And they just take, and they're not going to give you flowers. And that's okay. Because if you come from a place of like, you know what, I'm growing and I want to help people grow and I see the potential in this person. You plant a seed. If the tree sprouts, amazing. If they acknowledge you, amazing. And if they don't, that's okay too.
And you know what also really helps with those things is having friends that you can speak to, like hear yourself unpack it. Because even like between Delia and I, because we do business right in the world separately together and everything, and we encounter these really kind of questionable things, and when you're just holding it in, when you hold it in, you play it in your mind, you're turning it into some other thing.
Oh yeah.
You're turning it into like this hairy beast where if you could just bounce it off of a friend and go, okay, like for me, I coach women, or there's women that watch me and they go, oh my God, I saw this. And then I watch them do the exact same thing in the exact same way. And I look at it and go, what is it? Like, that's so weird. Like, I see it as like, well, why didn't they do it their way?
I know.
It's so weird. And then Delia's like, oh, there's restaurant, you know, everybody could have Mexican restaurants. It's all the same. And I go, no, but like, this is weird. So being able to like speak about it and be able to like unpack it, then I go, you know what? The difference is that woman is doing it right, and it has her. What I'm doing has me. I'm not over there and she's not over here. So no matter what, it's going to be different. And so we can't worry about it. But when you have friends that you can actually go, oh my gosh, this person said this and this is how I took it. What do you guys think? And they go, no, it's probably this, or you know what, her dog died and like that. It's very healthy to just get it on the table and unpack it quick.
What is this?
Don't let it sit in you too long.
Yeah, but I definitely, with what you're saying though, Rachel, I do believe that, you know, like you said, you know, you can give advice to someone and it could be the way that you would have wanted it to be, and then they do it in their version, and it's kind of like, the only way that I could describe that would be like a recipe, right? Look, this is the recipe of my pot pie. and this is how I do it. And I can give you the recipe, but it could taste different because it's two different, sazones in Spanish.
Different pans or whatever.
Different temperatures of cooking, different ways of doing things. And so at the end of the day, I think that as long as you know that you're coming from a place of, and if you're coming from a good place, and if that person takes it and they run with it, then from the sidelines, you're like, hey, you know what? I know that I had a little something to do with that. Even if they don't acknowledge you, that's okay.
That is okay.
That is okay. And then you just keep it moving. And then as you're seeing them grow, you're like, oh, that's amazing. Thank God they're growing. And you know that somehow, some way in your heart, you might say, you know what? I sprinkled a little something in there, or I planted that little seed, and thank God they sprouted.
And it's the same, and what she's saying is identical in your marriage with your husband.
So
you
true.
pour into your husband, you pour into your husband, and then he gets all the attention, and you get no credit. And it's, my son's house, and my brother's house, and my brother's business, and you get to see that. And you have to take that and apply it to that as well.
Yes, exactly.
Knowing how you found him, and you know that he's way better since you found him.
Met him.
You know
as a
that you
lonely
met
puppy dog on the streets.
A straggler. So I think that always choose your peace.
I agree.
think always lean into gratitude. And I often say, resentment and gratitude cannot reside in the same house. They just do not coexist. But if you're like, no, I do appreciate him, but no, that's not true.
The minute you say but,
it's over.
It's over.
Just like you either can focus on the good and be grateful for that or not. Yeah. And that goes for giving grace to yourself.
Yes.
In your own life and going, you're not going to have it all figured out.
Nope.
You don't have to be Supermom.
Nope.
You don't have to be Wonder Woman.
Nope.
Like, you don't.
Yeah.
Okay. Put one foot in front of the other and do what keeps you balanced. You don't got to run around.
Yep.
And there's a quote that I keep hearing, and I don't know why I keep forgetting it.
Yeah.
And it said, if the devil can't take you out, he'll make you busy. If he can't make you quit, he'll make you busy. And or something like that. I just messed it up. Look it up. But it's really stood out to me because I see a lot of women running around like chickens with their heads cut off because I gotta do so many things. And it's like, look how busy we all are, me included. And so I'm learning for the next year to try to not project that I'm so busy. Not so available either, but not so busy, but to manage everything at my pace.
At your pace.
And whatever falls to the wayside, falls to the wayside. And whatever doesn't, and just put one foot in front of the other.
And that's why they say that the journey of 1,000 steps starts with one step.
Yep.
And so whatever that step is, you got to keep it moving, and you know what, you're getting to the right place in the right direction. Keep your peace, do your thing, and remember that, you know what, no one has the ability to make you mad or bring you peace. Only you can do that to yourself. Only you're the only one that can actually do that for yourself. So remember that.
You're the heart of your home.
Amen. So that's all we got. Cheers.